Hello. Today I wanted to talk about Frank Lambert's Pedlar in Divinity, George Whitefield and the Great Awakening, 1737 to 1745. In this article, Lambert attempts to take a closer look at Whitefield's use of commercial techniques and advances to publicize his revivals. Whitefield might be considered one of the world's first celebrities. He certainly did utilize advertisements and what some historians consider publicity stunts to promote his sermons throughout North America. Though the main part of Lambert's article revolves around Whitefield's use of print to promote himself. Mark Knoll even mentions his exploitation of newsprint. It is apparent that print had been a long-standing part of Whitefield's life as it relates to the Great Awakening. Alan Taylor suggests that Jonathan Edwards' A Fateful Narrative of the Surprising Work of God had made its way across the ocean in print form and inspired Whitefield to become a preacher. Early in his career as an itinerant preacher, Whitefield was made aware of the usefulness of print. And as his career progressed, Whitefield became burdened to build an orphanage in Georgia, largely inspired by the works of his friends, the Wesleys. Seeing an opportunity to raise the funds for the orphanage and a charity school, an English businessman by the name of William Seward decided to take out an advertisement in a London newspaper for a sermon Whitefield was scheduled to preach. While advertisements for charity sermons were not uncommon, they usually presented the who, the what, the when, and the where. Seward's advertisement, however, presented Whitefield's character, and thus interested several readers. Later advertisements by Seward also included the number of people in attendance from previous sermons and the amount raised by the crowd, all in the attempt to draw more people into the preacher's next sermon. Seeing the effectiveness of such an ad campaign, Whitefield continued to use the method in order to express the gospel to as many people as he could. With the rising recognition through his advertisements came more interest in the man himself. When it came time to publish his first journal in 1738, there was a debate over which publisher would carry his writings. This controversy only brought more recognition to Whitefield. For example, 2 years before he even visited the colonies, newspapers in Pennsylvania and Virginia were publishing stories about Whitefield's success in England. By the time he did arrive in America, there was already a hype built up around him. Whitefield would also send advance men to areas he was planning on visiting. These men would help spread the word about Whitefield by distributing pamphlets, selling books, and getting stories about the preacher published. Benjamin Franklin played a large part in this. Although they disagreed on spiritual matters, they both benefited from working together. Whitefield benefited spiritually by being able to spread the gospel, and Franklin benefited by publishing and selling Whitefield's works. Lambert points out all of this with the intent of proving that Whitefield was taking advantage of prevalent commercial techniques. As he points out, the commercial landscape had just changed in the British Empire. There was a high demand for consumer goods and a mad dash by merchants to meet those needs. In the attempt to promote goods, merchants began utilizing advertisement to sell their items. Furthermore, due to the high demand of English goods throughout the colonies, serious improvements had to be made to means of transportation for the goods to be sold. Lambert makes the assertion that Whitefield utilized these changes in the commercial world to promote the gospel. By taking out ads and by following the newly made roads, Whitefield reached a much larger audience than if he had come to the colonies only a few decades earlier. While Whitefield did profit from his work, his goal was to promote the gospel, not himself. And Lambert makes sure to emphasize this point multiple times.